function, pumping and dumping, manipulate the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web, keep it a secret, every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Okay, we're going to try that. Sorry for the whole buzz thing. I'm going to lower the volume again. Sorry for killing everyone's ears there. We sadly don't have the little connection cord that normally I would use to balance out the audio. So I know that was like the worst hearing test in the world, but we're going to see in a moment. Okay, awesome. So that works. Now I'm going to try something experimental here. Let's see if we can get sort of a more lit background going on. More lit background. Okay, I think that works kind of as a weird way to light everything up. Hey everyone out there. Alright, so welcome everyone to the DCD 201 live stream. Once again, we are starting late simply because, well, hey there, Jared and Steven. I, embarrassingly enough, had to use the toilet, which unfortunately meant the delay in travel, and then I had to do a bunch of setup, which some things were a little tricky, and I couldn't show on air. So we're streaming now, though. We should be streaming until about like 10-ish, so it should be a short stream. That should be really neat. And again, also sorry for the background noise. I wasn't able to get the soundproof booth this time, so we're just doing it old school here. So, welcome to DCT 201 live stream. Let me do the spiel. I'm Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DCT 201. Oh Lord, weird. I just saw a little bit of news on the other screen, but yeah, I'm one of the two co-founders of DCT 201, formerly known as DEF CON 201 or DC 201. We are one of the many DEF CON groups that exist across the nation around the world. That 201 stands for New Jersey, even though right now we're filming in New York City. And if you want to know more information about what we do, I'm going to post things in chat. Now again, our website is still on the fritz just because I've literally been so busy that I haven't had time to deal with it. But which we're going to look at in a moment is here's our Medium blog that I just posted in the chat. Here's also something that we can't do on the Bird site, even though this is one of them, which is post our link tree. That's going to be updated tonight, by the way. Our link tree has our popular social media, such as the Bird site, aka Twitter at DEFCON201NJ. We're also DEFCON 201 on the much more superior Mastodon at the hostsucks.social instance. Also DEFCON 201 on Instagram, minds.com, GitHub, all of that. It also has our live streams, which I will go out and say that if you like the stuff that you're going to see so far and see tonight, please like, share, and subscribe to us. Follow us completely for free on Twitch, Twitch and YouTube. We depreciated DLive, which is going to be one of our early on announcements. So yeah, but you can follow us on Twitch and YouTube mainly. When you do, we do get notifications for that, and we cheer people on. And you can also view us on Diode Zone, which is an amazing PeerTube instance. We also have a link to. Thank you, Jerry7, for following us. Hack the Planet. See, that's a good example right there of how you can follow us, and you get a cool notification. We chat you out during the stream. What do you call it? Again, we also have a link to an NVIDIA's instance of our YouTube so that you can view it entirely through Tor anonymously. By the way, if you are on YouTube, make sure to also hit that bell and turn on all notifications because YouTube is a poorly coded piece of shit. So it, you won't get all the notifications when we come online and view our amazing shows like this. And what we did was, again, we had to depreciate DLive. It was really fun while it lasted. I had a lot of fun with DLive. It was really great trying to build up followers and giving out lemons. But to be dead serious, as much as I don't personally like the dude, after PewDiePie things went downhill for DLive real quick. Features started to get cut back. We made our goals to try to be a crypto superstar on the channel, and we never heard back from them. So, and lately, it's honestly just become an entire just non-stop slot machine. It's basically all the terrible stuff that you don't like on Twitch is on DLive. When I mean terrible, I don't mean political opinions. I mean just endless slot machines and just people filming walls. There's no real content anymore on there. So we appreciate it. We're gonna go back to it occasionally for certain specials where it'll be appropriate. But we've spent a while trying to look for a good because we try to cover our bases. So Twitch is popular for streaming, YouTube is popular for not only streaming but archiving videos. PeerTube is our decentralized open source community thing. NVIDIA is our way of oh god, we got spam again. One moment. Is for our way for our anonymous viewers. So DLive used to be our blockchain-based live streaming platform. But again, they kind of went by the wayside, so we did a ton of research, and we kind of went for the obvious things. So we're very proud and excited to announce that now, and it should be working now, we are also streaming to the blockchain-based, cryptocurrency-based, decentralized, pro-privacy, lot of good tech stuff on Odyssey. And so not only is our entire YouTube channel backed up on there in its entirety, but this live stream should be working on there. You can also see us on the Bird site. So that just covers everything. Get that out of the way. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Again, this is going to be a quick one. So in addition to live streaming our meetups, and yes, we are going to be making an announcement about our meetups very soon over the weekend. I'm super excited because it's been forever since we've done an in-person online hybrid meetup, and I have some really good content not only this month but throughout the entire year. Basically all the stuff that we couldn't do in 2022, we're doing this year, and I'm super excited. However, in order to keep everyone together with our live stream stuff, we also stream some SIGs and shows and special events, and I have 2 ongoing shows. One which we did a couple of days ago at the hotel was the Master of Unlocking, and this show is Crypto Barons, where we look at cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies as technologies. So normally on the show, sometimes we talk about community stuff, sometimes we talk about the finance stuff, but every crypto bro, dickhead, snake oil salesman covers that. Our thing, because we're a bunch of hackers, is we want to know how this shit works. If they have a testnet, can we run it? If they have a wallet, can we run it? Can we look at the source code? Let's look at it. Do they have a white paper? Let's do the math live on it. Let's find bugs live. Things like that. And we are very slanted towards security and programming and stuff like that as much as we can. And this episode, unfortunately, because last episode we did so much, we reverse engineered an APK live, and it was the first time I've ever done that. I've reverse engineered things before, but not an Android APK. It was a pain in the butt, but it was really awesome, and now I know how to do it even better because I've been experimenting with it. This episode is going to be different. So unfortunately, while we are going to be looking at security topics and explaining some things and viewing things from a hacker perspective, we're not going to be looking at code. We're not going to be looking at math. What we are going to be looking at was that earlier today at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, because, New Jersey, East Coast, hello, Binance did a live stream that they called Binance Talks, where they talk different subjects. And today, they specifically focused on security. Okay? So they're focusing on security, and because we're the computer hacker group, and we also have to have a show where we look at blockchain cryptocurrency technologies as hackers, I thought it'd be really neat that instead of streaming on our normal Saturday, and by the way, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this weekend, I am booked. I have so much I'm doing that there's no way in hell I can live stream. In fact, I can tell you right now that if I am going to be streaming Master of Unlocking soon, I'm probably going to be streaming it on President's Day at best. So that's how crazy the next 3 days are going to be. So I decided, hey, I'm going to move things up early, and we're going to do it Thursday because Binance just did a security panel, and we want to watch it. So without further ado, let's get into a hacker's reaction to the Binance security panel. So here we go. We're going to switch over to desktop view mode here. And everything should pop up normal. That's the blog. As you can see, unfortunately, we haven't updated it in a while, but that should change in the next 3 days or so. And what we're going to be looking at mainly is this. So again, at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's our time in New Jersey, they did their Binance Talks, and it was entirely about security. It was streamed through Binance and through YouTube. And as they wrote, hear from the industry's best and brightest as we dive into blockchain's most pressing security topics. And tradition on the show, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more because you can never have the text big enough. Now, what was really interesting about this was that there was a sort of a live component here. As you can see, they had YouTube for the plebs, and then you could log into Binance itself and watch it, and you could win certain things, and you'll see that on the live stream. In fact, we're going to kind of prematurely end it or skip a chunk of it because there's going to be a part of it that's like that. But the fun thing is so one of the things that I've been wanting to do a Binance episode for a while now. Everything about it, and it's hard to do because every 2 days something crazy happens, good or bad, with it. Recently it's been very bad, but we'll get that into a bit. And so for those of you who don't know, Binance is it's weird because they're a major exchange, and they were the first one where the core of their exchange was, in addition to directly exchanging coins, you could exchange Bitcoin for Litecoin and Ethereum for Dash, things like that, and do it super centralized, legally sort of thing, which is for me a negative, but what can you do? In addition to that, they made their own coin called Binance Coin, or BNB, and basically that acted as this linchpin token where while you can use it to pay for things, it was mainly designed so you can do a lot of conversion easier. At least that was the theory, and that's how Binance really took off. Plus, they like sponsor everything, almost like every crypto thing you could think of. It's like them, Coinbase, Crypto.com. Very recently, it used to be FCC, but we all know what happened there with that Ponzi scheme. So, that's sort of what they do. They're a crypto trading, centralized trading group that also has their own coin to facilitate trade. Now, the annoying thing about Binance is that because there's so many different types of online financial laws, and because Binance is poorly organized, if I must say so myself, and move the camera over a bit, basically there's two Binances. There's Binance.com, which funny enough, despite usually .coms being default United States, is the international version of Binance. Has way more features and options. Then there's Binance.us, and that's the one for the United States. And the problem is that these two accounts barely talk to each other. So unfortunately, I could not enter any of the contests. I couldn't do any of the quiz. I couldn't earn any of the 4,000 up to 4,000 BUSD prizes and stuff, simply because I'm on a U.S. account. I'm a poor U.S. muggle, and not on the Bitcoin Master Binance MasterRace.com account. So even though I was trying to log into Binance.com, I couldn't. It forced me to use US. The US wouldn't be able to run the live stream. It's only on the international one. .com. It was a fucking mess. So I YouTube it is, and that's where we got this from. So without that out of the way, we're going to look at the topics that they're going to be talking about here. And basically, we're going to be airing the episode as is, and then occasionally I'm going to pause and either A, explain a core concept that they're talking about, or B, I'm going to be, as best as my ability, interjecting comments. Like if a panelist says something that I think is bullshit, I'm going to interject my topic. If someone talks about something interesting or something I like, I'll pause and clarify it. I might make fun of certain situations that might be happening during the stream, whatever. So here's going to be the three agenda topics we're going to be talking about today. So the first topic we're going to be talking about is they're going to have panelists talking about cold versus hot wallets. Then they're going to be talking about secure reporting, like how to actually process security breaches and stuff like that. Then there's their giveaway, which we obviously can't enter because this is after the fact. And then a really kind of odd topic, I think, which is seed phrases, and should they still be included in cryptocurrency wallets? Okay, let's zoom out a bit more. These faces are way too big. But here's some of the speakers here, and of course they're going to be announcing themselves on the stream, so I'm not going to sit here and bother to explain who they are, Bored Ape, and what they do and stuff, because that's going to be up on the stream. So now that we got that out of the way, let's load up this video and let's see what the Binance Talks Security panel today was all about. And again, if anyone has any comments or questions about the noise, and by the way, my awesome shirt, I love NFTs. I'll do a bigger version of that when we get to Facebook. But if anyone has any questions about what we're talking about, my crazy hair, where I'm streaming at, what the hell's going on, why am I streaming on a Thursday instead of a Saturday, ask in chat. As long as it's not a lame joke troll, because lameness, I will love you for that. Otherwise, as I always said, if you're here to just watch me be crazy and stupid and perhaps learn a bunch of things while you do it, keep lurking and keep learning. So, without further ado, let's go into this security talk and let's do some commentary on it.
Hello, everybody. Alrighty, let's get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Sorry, let me try that. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers across the globe. First of all, let me thank you for joining us for Binance Talks Security. the first session of our new Binance Talks series. Every month, we'll discuss one of blockchain's most pressing topics with some of the best industry experts. We're incredibly excited to share with you our new format, and we've got some great guests to kick off the series. My name is Tanisha, Global Social Media Specialist at Binance, and your host today. Joining us today are 7 fantastic guest speakers. For our conversation on cold and hot wallets, we have Luis Osegada, Trust Wallet's Director of Engineering, and Ruben Mer, Engrave's co-founder and CEO. Discussing security and reporting are Nils Anderson-Royd, Binance's Deputy Head of Financial Crime Compliance, Aruna Costa, VP of Government Solutions at Elliptic, and Zahra Jafar, Superintendent of the Crypto Assets Market at the Central Bank of Bahrain. And for our final discussion on seed phrases, we'll have Udi Wardheimer, as well as OX Quit, join us to share their opinions. In addition to this value-packed session on security, we'll be running a host of giveaways and competitions. Keep in mind hashtag Binance Talks, though, because you'll need it later. Let's take a look. In our first competition, we're giving away $100 worth of crypto to 10 lucky winners tuned into the session. Simply use the hashtag Binance Talks to tweet out your key learnings from the event. So you might want to pay attention. As I mentioned, we'll pick 10 of your favorite tweets or threads to win $100 of crypto each, so get creative. For our second giveaway, and again with hashtag Binance Talks, being our first online event series, we'd love to know how you're tuning in today. All you need to do is retweet the tweet and reply to our upcoming tweet with a picture of your setup showing the event. And we'll pick 10 of the best to win Binance merch. We'll let you know later in the show when the tweet is live and also provide you with a link, so not to worry there. We'll also be running a crypto box giveaway valued at 4,000 USD with a quiz from Binance Academy after our panels. For this one, please note that you'll need to be watching on Binance Live and logged into your Binance account to participate. With our giveaways covered, let's take a look at the bigger security picture. Security is a large topic to cover, but it's one of the most important. I'm sure we all realize that, well, first, the services, tools, and
Still getting used to this like mic and non-mic. Just want to comment 2 quick things. First of all, one of the things which I was recently talking about at the recent Crypto Mondays meetup, which unfortunately I missed this week, which was actually really cool because we were talking about like health agencies in Africa. But 2 Crypto Mondays ago, we were talking about this for the Paris Blockchain Week, is that when you start going and seeing so much crypto stuff like we've had, because we've nearly had 2 years of episodes at this point, by the time it hits May, it'll be 2 years of this show. You kind of see the same people and over again. And so there's like stereotypes that you see, such as like the obvious like business tycoon, and then the obvious smelly programmers. And my favorite is just female supermodels. Just out of nowhere. I think most of them are probably in like the marketing wings of these companies, but it's really funny. It's the same thing also with like you just see like just fucking hardcore rappers out of nowhere. So I think it's interesting because like I don't know who Tanisha is. Funny enough, one of my relatives is actually named that, so it's kind of freaky to see a girl with the same name who looks very different than the person that I know. I don't know. I'm assuming she's probably part of marketing or like public relations within Binance. But I want to just comment that for a huge I'll put it this way, right? We do this live stream on nothing. Like literally we do it on nothing. Like absolutely goddamn almost nothing. I think the most we pay for restream so we can restream out to a bunch of different people. I'm not going to say what prices they are, just it's a lot less expensive than you think it is. And we paid like literal pennies for the Stinger transition. And that's it. Like everything else we've built, like that's why everything's kind of shitty. But Binance has like multi-million, if not to quote a terrible, annoying orange, billions and billions and billions of dollars. Why is the green screen for this Zoom session so shitty? This is like I expect this from like YouTube 8 years ago, like it was like reviewing some sort of Xbox 360 game, than whatever they have here. So I don't know, like, can they give more budget? I get, because there's been a complaint that like Binance might be in some serious FTX levels of trouble very soon. Maybe this is the beginning phases of it where they can't even do a basic bitch green screen. I have no idea. Let's continue.
And infrastructure we all use are only as good as the level of security they can offer. And second, while security has improved over the life of blockchain, it's still not uncommon for hacks, exploits, and security breaches to take place. For mainstream adoption, it's a sticking point. If users don't feel safe handling crypto, they simply won't do it. So it's important to us as increased adoption depends on a respectable level of security that the average consumer is used to. And from an exchange's perspective, users also depend on infrastructure providers to offer the highest level of security. Everyone from the dApp developer to users to large centralized exchanges has a role to play here in maintaining security. It doesn't just fall on one person's shoulders in crypto, and that's why we're here today. Let's briefly cover the schedule. To begin, we'll have our first discussion on cold versus hot wallets. After that, we'll dive
I swear to God, that will be the last screech thing. I'm so sorry. I'm still getting, since I don't have the cord today, I'm still getting used to like the switcheroo. I promise next episode we'll have the proper cord and everything. Yeah, I had to laugh at that comment of also the fact our script is like at desk level. Come on. Yeah, no. So I don't know if anyone's seen the new Super Mario Brothers movie Super Bowl commercial, where it's literally a commercial for the in-universe plumbing business that the Mario Brothers does, and like they have the actress who's like doing like the thank you stinger. Funny enough, by the way, that actress is the same voice actress that did Princess Peach back then, known as Princess Toadstool from the original cartoon. There's so many references in that trailer. But the joke is that she starts off with like normal acting, and then there's like a cue card off screen, and it has some bullshit written on it, and she like obviously looks off screen and is trying to read what the fuck is being written. And yeah, I am getting major vibes of that in here, so, And again, I have script notes and stuff, but again, I have zero budget, and yet a lot of times you guys don't even realize that I'm reading off the script sometimes. So, it's like maybe Binance could give me a ton of their backing in Bitcoin or their BNB or their shillings or sheep or whatever, and I could probably do a lot more for both them and myself. But let's continue on and get more into the meat of this. She's listening to different topics that we just listed earlier.
into security and reporting, as well as how prevention is often the best cure, and I'm sure you could agree. For our final talk of the session, we'll look into seed phrases and explore their role in the future of crypto security. Finally, to round everything off, we'll have our Crypto Box Binance Academy giveaway. So, without further ado, let's kick off the first session. We've invited Luis Osegada, Trust Wallet's Director of Engineering, and Ruben Mer, Engrave's co-founder and CEO, to get to the bottom of what you need to know when it comes to cold and hot wallets. Beyond what they are, we're really looking to discover how you can best use both of these in your crypto workflow. We all want to stay as secure as possible without sacrificing utility. Let's take a look then at the topic and welcome Luis and Ruben to the show. Welcome, you guys. Hello. Luis, would you like to kick us off with a short introduction about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Luis. Currently at Trust Wallet supporting the engineering team here. Previously, I was at Coinbase, and previously before that, been working on both infrastructure, platform, and security teams at various companies. Most of my background is in security and in a slash of engineering along the way.
Fantastic. Well, it's great meeting you, and definitely look forward to diving into this topic. Ruben, how about yourself? The audience would love to know more about who you are and what you're all about.
Hey everyone, yeah, I'm actually trying to get my logo on screen. Great to meet you all. And my name is Ruben. I'm co-founder and CEO of Engrave. We've been around for about the last 4 or 5 years. Before that, I was a tech entrepreneur and strategy consultant. And I do want to emphasize that we are here to empower you to safeguard your wealth. And happy to talk about that today.
Awesome. Well, it's great meeting you both. We'd love to have you guys on the show. Let's dive into it, shall we? These questions are really for the both of you. So to get everyone up to speed, would you briefly be able to explain the difference between a hot and cold wallet, ground level?
Sure. You want me to go? Should I go first, Ruben?
You can do the hot wallet part, I guess.
The hot wallet part? Yeah, so I think I'll briefly introduce kind of both concepts, and I'll let Ruben dive deeper into the cold wallet aspect. But the short of it is a hot wallet is defined as something, it's always online, it's always directly connected to the internet. That's the most simple, basic term. Whereas a cold wallet is normally, it's not directly connected to the internet. It's usually offline, and the accessibility is a little bit different. I think the only thing I'll add there is the primary roles of these wallets are all the same. You want to protect the private key. And the way these keys are accessible makes it different for different attack vectors, which we can discuss later. But that's the general difference between a hot and cold wallet.
Yeah, indeed. I think the easiest way to summarize it in a few words is hot is online, cold is offline. The cold aspect of cold wallets that's so important is the most important part of your security in crypto is your private keys. And obviously that starts with how do you make them, how do you manage them and keep them safe, and how do you actually sign transactions without ever exposing them. And so with the cold wallet, you can do all of these things offline. So you can do them in your home by yourself without ever needing to connect your private keys to the outer world. And that, of course, adds an extreme level of security. And I think we will probably cover it, but of course, there comes a level where you have convenience and security, and those are typically looking at trade-offs. And for user, it's therefore interesting to know the difference a bit between hot, cold exchanges and so on, and know what to choose from for which specific context.
And you guys both made.
Yeah, no screech. So just to elaborate a bit from there. So yeah, what they said overall, I guess, is roughly true. We actually did one of our earliest episodes of Crypto Barons was talking about cold storage wallets and like how you can actually make them from scratch on your own time. It's funny because I don't think most people are confused between hot and cold, because I think people know things like it fell off a hot truck or something like that. So we kind of get the idea there. But yeah, in summary, as I said, a hot wallet is something that is active. So, just make it a little bit more complex. It's not just that it's connected to the internet, it's that it's constantly sharing information with something else. That you can have direct access to it. Like, for example, the bank account app, like your Chase or Bank of America app on your smartphone is a hot wallet, because even though you have to activate the app sometimes, that app is always directly connected to the bank and accessible at all times. The cold wallet would be like the safe that's in your house that has physical valuables in it. It's local storage, you're the only person, or there's few people who have direct access to it. You can't go from an outside source normally in on it if it's set up correctly. As we know with master locking, that sometimes is not the case, but that's kind of the general idea. And sort of the whole concept of cold wallets is twofold. One is that with cold wallets, as we explained on the episode, you're trying, that's where you really build your security fortress. So there's like terms like gapless, where you're just trying to like avoid any sort of potential entrance way into the actual storage that you built. You technically want to do the same thing with hot wallets, but again, you're trading, as they're probably going to bring up, you're going to be trading accessibility for security constantly with this sort of balance. But the other thing about the cold storage wallet, and it'll be interesting to see if they bring it up, is why it would be a good idea that if you're seriously like doing finance or investing in this or trying to be like super smart in general, of why you would need both. So we're going to continue on with this, and if after a while they don't bring up like why is there two of them and why you would need both if you were super into this, I'll then explain it. So let's get back to this conversation.
Some great points, and I think ground level we can say or agree on the difference of the two is online versus offline. But that brings me to my next point: who needs one? Usually they're for different purposes and for different maybe levels of crypto consumers.
Right, and I think I'll just like pull on the thread that Ruben has started. Right, it just depends on these trade-offs that a user is making. So the way I would think of it is kind of the user should ask basic questions like, what are their habits? How do they actually engage in crypto? What are they actually doing in crypto? What activities are they doing? What are their expectations in terms of security, in terms of speed and velocity, accessibility? Trying to figure out their risk tolerance. There's a lot of huge benefits in terms of security when it comes to a cold wallet. Those trade-offs are being made at the hot wallet level for the effort of convenience. So like if you have high risk tolerance, hot wallets are really nice for these. There's budgetary concerns. And so sometimes you need to make a decision whether you want to invest in a hardware wallet, at what point do you invest? And I think the other one is both cold wallets and hot wallets have different interactions and different flows. These things are not standardized. We're still trying to work through these like common patterns. So it's also a level of how comfortable you feel working with this new technology, getting familiar with this technology. And so really, depending on what your use case, will make a decision on should you have a cold wallet, a hot wallet, or both. In my opinion, I think people tend to have both for the different use cases.
Yep, no, indeed. And I think a few analogies might also make sense. And so if you say you just start dabbling into crypto, you have a very small portfolio, then of course it doesn't yet make necessarily too much sense to put all of that offline. You can think about it a bit as from the perspective of, okay, I have a bank account. I will always have a current account with some money on it that I want to use on a regular basis. I want to go to a shop. I want to be able to pay in real time. And on the other end, you also have your savings, and nobody wants to walk around with their savings on their phone. So ideally, you keep those somewhere safer, somewhere more long-term stored, and then you go into a cold wallet where you know that nobody can actually get ever access to your keys, and to a level of security that's much more advanced. That said, there is always evolution in the space. And even right now, me, Luis, we are working together on also having an integration between a hot wallet and a cold wallet, so that you can actually have your cold keys shared with your hot wallet. And it also adds security to the current model of, let's say, an online solution.
Okay, so as a user, I know how I want to interact with the space. I understand my portfolio allocation in terms of short versus long-term investments. What are now my options to look at a hot versus cold wallet, and how do I go about picking one?
I could start off with this one. So I think, again, it's not to give like just general statements, but it really depends, I think, what you're doing. So if you're just send and receive tokens, staking, like depends on like your level of activity, right? So, and if you're doing a long-term investment, I think hot wallet, cold wallets depends on some of the functionality. So there's USBs. You can use like a USB, and that could be very, very easy to use with something like a desktop. But generally, like there's a constraint there when you're dealing with like mobile devices, right? So if you're really a mobile first user and you don't have a desktop, or you don't use your desktop very often, you'll run into constraints with the USB. Then you have things like QR codes, which are really nice. You see Engrave doing this and standardizing the QR code, and this creates a really nice pattern. It's also a very repeatable pattern. And this makes it also really convenient for users. You have all the things like NFC and Bluetooth as well. Then you have form factors. So depending on how portable and mobile you want to be with your hardware wallet, some hardware wallets are really small and light. Some of them are a little bit bigger, but they have like nice screens, nice UI experience. It allows you to use it almost like a phablet, which is it's really nice, depending on how you want to use your cold wallet. And so I think those are some of the considerations you want to think about when you're thinking about cold storage. There's a nice way of thinking if you can have these like really small credit cards and then really light to carry like a short amount of funds to make payments on the go, but they're not as convenient as a cold wallet that has a UI, has a nice screen on it. And it's really easy to move funds just with QR codes.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah. I think my perspective on it is that exchanges are interesting, let's say, for doing real-time trades and having a lot of liquidity. Once you go to hot wallets, it might be more about interacting with the world of DeFi. So you have your own keys and you interact with dApps and anything you can think of, which is not possible with an exchange. And of course, then you will get into the category of cold wallets, where ideally the first thing you do with it is just keep your crypto safe. But of course, technologies evolve. And what's so interesting now is that even with, let's say, before Engrave came along, it was mostly about wallets that were USB based, so still connected. You have some sort of evolution there towards Bluetooth, so still a connected technology. Engrave with QR codes, it's really no more connections. So the true connectionless aspect of crypto, which is crucial if you want to keep your crypto keys safe. And the beauty then about the things that are happening right now, let's say you have your Trust wallet, you have your zero hardware wallet of Engrave. You can literally, with QR codes, share, first of all, your private keys, create offline with Trust wallet. Trust wallet will be more secure because of that and is still the perfect place to do your DeFi interactions. But you can actually interact with dApps, with any kind of DeFi things, such as token swaps or staking, by signing those transactions, those orders you do fully offline with your hardware device. And what's also really nice is the convenience part actually improves because you are literally using QR codes one way to ask for a signature, and then the other way to give the signature to the hot wallet, and then the hot wallet can push it to the blockchain. So in a sense, even the cooperation between a Trust wallet and an Engrave means that suddenly let's say hot wallets are even more secure, and cold wallets are actually no longer that sturdy and inconvenient, and they also get a lot of benefit in terms of speed and how easy it becomes to interact with the outside world. And of course, QR codes are a technology that everybody already uses today. It's convenient, it's fast, it's transparent. You can scan a QR code with any kind of device you have and see what am I actually going to sign, which is, I would say, a big downside of USB and Bluetooth wallets, because you typically don't exactly know what am I signing. It's sort of a black box, and that's also solved with QR codes.
Right. And I think you guys.
So a bit more commentary about this. First of all, chat is absolutely killing me with these jokes. Like, usually I'm the one with the stingers here, but like, particularly Lunisum, like kowtowing for that F1 driver comment. That's where you saw me die a little bit in my little window corner over here on the screen. But it's funny enough, the actual first thing I thought of is that I don't know if he's Austrian, but he's definitely some sort of like European. And like with how deep his voice is and his pronunciations, I initially thought he was Johannes Gunterfuss, who is a awesome Austrian friend of mine. I was like, whoa, are they related? He's probably gonna give shit on me of like, oh, why do all Americans think Europeans look like? Because they do. Unless you're British, in which you look terrible. But that's a joke, by the way, kind of. I digress. So a couple comments and then observations here. One, just to note about Trust Wallet. Lewis, who is from Trust Wallet, the cue ball guy over here, the one who looks like he's like the bouncer at a bar. Trust Wallet is actually owned. I don't know if they're operated, but they're definitely owned by Binance, and that's why he's probably on there. Trust Wallet is a notorious like security-based, easy of use wallet. And there's been discussions because of how not well Binance is going, and everyone's worrying it becoming the next FTC. I'm sorry. where it might collapse or trade owners of what's going to happen to your Trust wallet if Binance goes down. Second thing about, I've never heard of Engrave, believe it or not. I'm definitely going to check it out after the stream. But again, when you do security stuff, especially when it comes to cold and hot wallets, you're constantly trading between convenience for actual security. It's like that whole Benjamin Franklin comment that apparently I think wasn't even actually something Benjamin Franklin said about like he who like trades their own security, like their own liberty for security gets neither. It's that sort of kind of thing. And you know, the QR codes are definitely more convenient, but the two things I keep thinking about is that one, there is an active thing about QR code hacking and QR code reverse engineering. I'm not expertise in that at all. I just know it exists, but again, it exists, so I'm interested to see what sort of encryption security measures they do on their QR codes. And then there's a big problem with this sort of convenience with, by using a camera, you are automatically like opening up yourself for man-in-the-middle attacks, meaning that not only do you have an API that has to communicate with the camera, you have the camera itself. And considering that a lot of smartphone hacks has to do with taking over the camera and like watching it when it sees in real time, or regurgitating images that it's seen beforehand, like such as the snapshots of the read of the QR code, this can be an actual problem there. So, you know, like for example, there are actual encrypted camera apps that are open source that you can get to help mitigate that. Independent, you know, privacy respecting QR code scanners that just scan QR codes. They're not crypto wallets, but again, that's a convenience. I'm just sort of interested to see eventually when I look up Engrave if there's any actual encryption or security measures, not only with the QR codes themselves, but the camera and API systems involved. That because as soon as I hear, you know, hey, we have a cold wallet, but you can use a QR code for it or Bluetooth for it, instant red flag in my head. And also I want to point out that a lot of the new like cryptocurrency wallets and YubiKeys and stuff are USB-C based, and since most modern smartphones are USB-C based, that means you can actually directly use your cold wallet and or key via the USB-C port. So this is something that I feel like is going to get definitely more redundant in time. We'll quickly read the comments and then make one other comment, and we're going to continue going on. Just well as one of those repeats messages, yeah, and the opinions on the QR talk. Feel free to have opinions about QR codes or my terrible shirt or the F1 driver and the 8-ball in the corner pocket speaking here. And that's not a diss to them. They're probably really experts and fantastic speakers. This is just me being a jackass. Please say so in chat. Otherwise, again, keep lurking, keep learning. And of course, if you also like this content, you can like and follow us on Twitch and YouTube. If you try to like us on DLive, we appreciate that, but we won't get a notification for it. And we're going to see if we can do Odyssey notifications or in the near future Facebook ones. So we'll check that out a bit. Yeah, metadata from scans. That's like, again. I'm gonna look up Engrave later. I've never heard of it, but hopefully their stuff is open source. Otherwise, I'll have to do more reverse engineering. I'd probably get in trouble for it. But this is the stuff as a hacker that I'm immediately thinking about. Another thing that they haven't brought up yet, I'm gonna keep playing this and see if they do, is that they haven't mentioned the actual use case between owning both a hot and cold storage wallet. And I think this is what they're actually trying to say. If you are, like, let's say you have 5 Litecoins or like 20 Ethereums, you probably don't need a cold wallet, okay? You're not really paying a lot, you don't really have much in that wallet. If you are an investor and you have like 8 Bitcoins or like 10,000 ETH, things like that, and you're actively trading and these are like assets, you're going to want a cold storage wallet. In fact, the reason why you want to have both is essentially you keep all of your money. It's like, here's the analogy. Your cold storage wallet is your actual bank account, like at Chase or whatever, or Bank of America, the Royal Bank, whatever bank you use. And then the hot wallet is the money in your pocket. You obviously, like, you know, you get paid at your job. You get paid like $600, $800, $1,000, right? Every 2 weeks or so. You're not going to walk around unless you are fucking stupid, crazy, dumb, or all three with all $1,000 you got paid for your job in your wallet. You don't walk with your entire bank account, like all the money in your pocket. That would just be risky, stupid, and impractical. So what happens is that you have a secure bank that you hold everything. There's like it's in there in like a cage and armed guards and encryption and little sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads and stuff like that. And then in your pocket you have $5, $20, a couple hundreds out of the thousands that you have in your bank account. And that's how you're supposed to use a hot and cold wallet. Your cold storage wallet is supposed to hold the majority of your crypto if you have a lot of it. So let's say you have 50 Bitcoin, you keep like 49 Bitcoins on there, and then you put like half a Bitcoin on your cold storage, and then you put like 50 Satoshis or whatever, like a super low amount on the hot wallet. And when your hot wallet dips low, your active online MetaMask, Exodus wallet, you then go to your cold storage wallet and you move more onto that hot storage wallet. And the reason why you do that is because since hot wallets, because they're constantly connected to the internet, being targeted all the time, not that cold storage wallets aren't. We covered physical cold storage wallets in the past and how people have literally physically hacked them out of their information. But here's the point, is that because hot wallets are more hammered, they're more susceptible to hacking, no matter how secure they are, and especially centralized, here's something Binance won't tell you, especially centralized exchanges. There's been major hacks at Binance, major hacks at Coinbase, Kraken's doing okay, but it's getting hammered, etc. Especially if it's centralized. That way, if they bust into your hot wallet, they're only going to get like 20 Satoshis, as opposed to like all 50 Bitcoins that you have in your cold storage, theoretically. That's why you do that. It's similar to a bank. Again, if someone mugs you on the street, they get like, what, $200 as opposed to like the 10 grand you have in the bank? That's how that system works. They haven't brought it up yet. Maybe they bring it up later on, but I just wanted to get that all out of the way first. When it says, so hot versus cold is like checkings and savings, but with a beefier wall between, yes. And it's because, it's not even because people are that paranoid. I mean, people are also that paranoid with fiat currency. It's a very similar thing. Again, there's people who walk around with money in their pocket, and then they have like all the rest of their money stuffed under the mattress in the Bahamas, in a fucking tax haven. Looking at you, Republicans and neo-Dems, and tankies. But the big reason is because one of how crypto is normally arranged, the fact that a lot of them are, especially recently, are decentralized. The fact that there is cryptography involved. Just the nature of the way most cryptocurrencies are built, that's why this system exists. But there's also another reason that I'll bring up more towards the end, but I don't want to eat up everything. We still have a lot more video to go through. Let's continue on and see if there's more points I can bring up.
Guys made some great points in terms of both areas that you're working on, so to speak, is making the user experience a little bit more convenient, accessible, and familiar, which I think is very important. But Ruben, you mentioned a few times about dApps and DeFi. Isn't it, from a cold wallet perspective, isn't it difficult to use with dApps, or how can I, as the average user, get started with that or more familiar?
Yeah, so for sure, hot wallet is where you typically start interacting with dApps. And of course, as I mentioned, technologies evolve. So the way that we look at that is, ideally you have a hardware wallet that you use more often than let's say used to be the case, because the main use case of a cold wallet used to be put your crypto on it, keep it offline, keep it safe, put it away in a cupboard. But if you think about the aspect of QR codes, in 1-2 interactions, which is basically super fast, and we all know how fast QR codes are, you can actually suddenly interact on a regular basis, and it will not take you that much more time than, let's say, to sign a transaction directly from your hot wallet. So it's actually faster, it's more secure, it's more transparent in terms of security for yourself. You see better what you sign. And yeah, so it's just constantly evolving, and this is sort of the direction we're going into. So what Engrave is doing today is we are standardizing the QR code so that any hot wallet can actually sort of SDK immediately with us. So that suddenly it's easy to integrate with Engrave.
Right.
Users get better keys, the hot wallets get more secure, and Engrave, of course, gets access to more users. And you can do that
just want to quickly mention two things. One, because now he says that they have like generalized more of the QR codes so that they're more common. That's a good vector attack point. And two is, sorry, I have smoke off. I swear I'm not sick anymore. It's just for some reason live streaming brings out the worst of my nasal congestions. Is that, what was he saying before about cold storage wallets? That was a really good point. Hang on, give me a second, it'll come to me, otherwise we'll keep going. Is that cold storage wallet? Let me actually rewind a bit. You guys won't hear it on my end, but I just want to rewind a bit just so I can remember what the hell he was talking about before.
Bluetooth wallets, because you typically don't exactly know what. Yep.
Right. And I think you guys made some great points in terms of
Typically start interacting with
about
dApps. And of course, as I mentioned, technologies evolve. So the way that we look at that is ideally you have a hardware wallet that you use more often than let's say used to be the case, because the main use case of a cold wallet used to be put your crypto on it, keep it offline, keep it safe, put it away in a cupboard. But if you think about the aspect of QR codes in 1-2 interactions, which is basically super fast, and we all know how fast QR codes are, you can actually suddenly interact on a regular basis, and it will not take you that much more time than, let's say, to sign a transaction directly from your hot wallet. So it's actually fast standardizing the QR code so that any hot wallet can actually, of course, get access to more users. And you can do that for DeFi, such as, I mean, it's all evolving, but if you want to do staking, like delegated staking.
Okay, so sorry, I quickly remembered this. Basically, real quick, yes, the actual interaction would be super fast in terms of the actual QR code reading, but you would also have to have a blockchain that was designed to also keep up with speed. Hence, the Bitcoin problem of taking 8,000 years for transactions to be approved, even though the wallet itself, everything is hunky dory. It's like, hey, we sent it, the other person is receiving it, and then 5 days later you get your 1 Satoshi. That's sort of the problem. And again, QR codes can be more vulnerable to memorization. It really depends on how their QR codes are set up. The fact that they said that they've kind of consolidated, more standardized, a little bit of red flag. But let's continue on with this, because again, we have a lot more video to get through.
If you want to do a token swap, you can do all of those things. The only thing you need to do is get a signature request and sign it. And that's basically it. And so you can perfectly do that today with a hardware wallet.
Perfect. And I think you've debunked the idea that a cold wallet is only for storage. So you can actually interact with this mechanism within the world of DeFi. But how does that now affect security when you are using your cold wallet to interact with these spaces, or does it affect security?
The idea is that you actually improve on security from the hot wallet side, because your keys are fully offline and the QR codes are, let's say, a sort of interaction method that you cannot attack as an online user, as an online attacker. Why? A USB is an actual connection. A Bluetooth is an actual connection. A QR code is basically, I show you a picture, I throw it over a wall, you look at it and you say, I'm going to sign it with cryptography. So the signature that comes out of it cannot be traced back to the private key. That's how blockchain works. And so when you have the signature, you just throw it over the wall again. I look at that picture and I can see, as the blockchain itself, this is a valid transaction. I will accept it. If the transaction signature was changed somewhere between those 2 points, then the blockchain knows this is not a valid transaction, so I won't accept it. So it means that in the end, the QR codes cannot be attacked because they're air-gapped. So you have a wall, offline wall, where you can't really do anything. And yeah, that really is sort of the game-changing part of it. It increases the peace of mind, and it's faster.
Sorry, Ruben, I think you're breaking up a little bit. Louis, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add to the points that he made?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'll cover like the dApps is always a huge concern in hot wallets and cold wallets. There's a slightly different constraints and security concerns, and so this is where you start seeing like trust wallets starting to add protections for the users and like being able to scan smart contracts, scan these interactions, so people are more familiar with like, are they running into a threat or an attack, or are their wallets going to be drained? Similar drains, wallets being drained could also happen on cold wallets. So it's really important for the user to be familiar with how that can happen. So you end up having, you end up doing these blind transactions or you blind signings specifically. And so it's important for users to be aware of what they're enabling to enable some of these features, right? So this is something where some like the hot wallets are able to warn you, but also on the mobile side, users can click buttons. You have to be very careful about what you're enabling, because once you enable and give a smart contract the right permissions, then you can get your funds drained just as easily on a cold wallet than on a hot wallet. So users should be careful with that. The other thing to be careful about from a security standpoint is how you're finding dApps. So it's also, this is something a hot or cold wallet can't protect you from. So users should be very cautious about which dApps their wallet is connecting to. Make sure they're trusted, they're not coming from malicious sources. So generally being able to connect to a trusted wallet, bookmarking it and using it, and then go into the exact same source every single time is also important. Just additional features that are within the scope of cold and hot wallets.
That's great. And I think what I gathered from the both
Real quick, I will say that props to the guy at Trust Wallet, Lewis. He did give good advice about that you should also be concerned, especially when it comes to applications, in this case, centralized applications or dApps, what programs you're connected to. But I also want to add that it becomes a little bit more of an issue because a lot of times a program, like sometimes an app itself is not affected, but the APIs that it uses are affected. We see this all the time where, random selections of apps that have no cross sections of what they do with each other all get hacked at the same time because they all use Amazon Web Service, or they all use a certain type of Google API or something that framework gets destroyed. And even within crypto, you had the whole Terra Luna with the, I think it was called the the archive or avalanche code, and like there was a lot of people who used that open source piece of code for their own tech, and then when Terra Luna collapsed because of the bad math in that sort of balancing trading API and smart contract. A lot of people there was some angry late night coffee binges of programmers having to edit that out because, they now share the same major security vulnerability that Terra Luna does. So, while it is important, and I definitely agree with him that you should be also looking at like what applications should also be very forthcoming of what they're built out of, which is why having not only open source, but like the code being listed on GitHub or Gitpia or something is a huge green flag, because that allows you to see like how it's built, and if it's using other frameworks or APIs, you now know that like when those get targeted, that this could be a weakness for that, and so you can better prepare yourself not only from the user side but also as a developer of like, okay, like why is this going? Oh, we're using Amazon Web Service as the back end for the UXI so that everything's in sync, and it's down, and that's why nothing's working. You have to think things of that. Yes, well, this is going to be Binance. This is going to be mostly a PR way. That's why, again, it's, I think, really important for like hackers. Not that I'm like a super elite hacker or anything, but you call me a hacker, so fuck it. The hackers like us, I should say, to when there's security topics done, no matter what field it is, no matter if it's video games or cooking or finance or anything, that we need to sit there and we need to analyze it and give props when props is due, and shit on things that deserve to be shit on. So anyhow, without further ado, let's continue on.
of you and hopefully the viewers at home as well, is that Just like in the real world, you wouldn't go sign a contract and sign your life away without understanding what's within that contract. And as you're interacting, whether it's from a hot or cold perspective, in terms
I wish I could be faster than the switches, but I wish I could switch faster. But I just want to make a comment about what the host just said. You wouldn't sign a contract with your life away without knowing how it reads first. Right now, every British person who voted on Brexit is doing that awkward monkey face meme right now. Just saying.
of wallets, you need to be very clear on what you're now signing off of or what you're interacting with.
Yep.
I think you guys have done a great job with those clear distinctions. Let's talk about solutions for a second. What do both Trust Wallet and Ngrave offer in terms of your respective areas? I know you guys talked briefly about an integration. Can you tell us a little bit more about the two offerings?
I can start with Trust Wallet.
Sure.
So essentially, so Trust Wallet, we offer a multi-chain wallet. We offer over 70 chains at the moment. We offer NFTs for 10 different, we support 10 different types of NFTs. We support native staking. We also offer some swapping services, access to dApps. So we have like a full featured ecosystem within Trust Wallet. Our goal here is to be able to give users access to crypto ecosystem. So we're not very opinionated in terms of, there's hundreds of blockchains and we are selective about which blockchains come onto platform, but generally we're promoting the entire ecosystem. And the other thing that we're really focused on is this concept of non-custodial. So keeping, your keys, not your crypto. So giving users access and ownership of their keys is also critical. This is a very in parallel to Ngrave as well. And our goal here is to continue to improve the ecosystem, the user experience. And so as we kind of project forward, you're starting to see this partnerships with Ngrave in terms of QR codes and making these things a little bit easier and a more seamless user experience. And so as Trust Wallet continues to evolve and improve, not only just our access to crypto, the security around crypto, but just generally the onboarding and the user experience. That's the overall general product for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Louis. And Ruben, how about yourself? Where can...
Yeah. So I would say Ngrave comes from our own deep experiences with being hacked. So one of my co-founders was in his previous project back in 2017, was hacked for about 40,000 Ethereum. So something like that really puts you on the tip of your toes when it comes to security awareness. And so that also actually led us to start with a principle. Our first principle at Ngrave is we will never compromise on your security. And that means that, and that's actually interesting because it's a point we haven't mentioned yet. We're talking about hot wallets, we're talking about cold wallets, but the essence of the game in crypto is that you are totally allowed to lose your hot wallet. You can lose your cold wallet device. The one thing you're never allowed to lose is your key. So obviously you have to create your key somewhere, but once you have it, then your key is the most important thing. You can lose your Ngrave Zero hardware wallet. You just buy a new one. You enter that key and all your wallets will be restored. And so what we did is we actually started with the backup. We thought about three very important questions. So the first one is, what if my piece of paper, because today everybody has paper wallets, what if I lose my piece of paper, I lose my crypto, I lose my key? So we built an indestructible backup with Graphene. That's our backup solution. And then we asked ourselves, let's say somebody finds this backup. What happens then? Then they actually find my 24 words, or maybe they find two parts. They found one part of 12 words of the 24 words in total, and they have information to basically use and steal my key. So with Graphene, we actually went a step further and we made the backup encrypted so that if you find my Graphene, you actually don't find my key just yet. And then of course, the last part is, what if I lose my backup, I lose my crypto. So Graphene is the first recoverable backup in the industry. And so we start with basically the premise of, if you are serious about your crypto, you start with the backup. And that means you start with graphene. And then you go into the part of the hardware wallet where, first of all, you create your keys and then you manage your keys offline. And the beauty about our Zero hardware wallet there is that, first of all, it's 100% offline. It uses QR codes to interact with the outside world. Second, it is a touchscreen device. So whenever you, let's say, scan a QR code, and you can see what's inside because you have an actual screen. So you see what you sign. And then thirdly, and that's what we are most proud of, if you think about normal hardware wallets, they will always rely on the chip inside the device called a secure element that creates your key, that is used to sign transactions, and that basically protects your key from being stolen from. So if I find your hardware wallet, I have to break open your chip. With Engrave, it's a real fortress. So you have the chip inside a device, you have layers of anti-tampering physically, and then you actually have a secure operating system. And that operating system is certified.
A secure operating system, and there's no real details about what the operating system is. We are definitely going to be looking at this at a future episode of Crypto Barons.
For the high security certification in the world, so EAL7. If you look at Apple Pay, at credit cards, at passports, these are all EAL5 secure. Zero is the only financial product in the world today with the EAL7, and it is a really good underlining of our first promise that we will never compromise on your security.
Got it.
So it's really.
Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
I just wanted to conclude that it's really an end-to-end solution. You have a backup, you have a hardware wallet, you have our mobile application to interact with the outside world. So end-to-end.
Right. And I mean, from a hot and cold perspective, it's great to hear that, you know, the community and those watching have quality solutions that make their crypto experience easier, more convenient, and safer. And I think really, you know, as a lot of people say, we're still so early in the industry. So for viewers knowing how to interact with the space in a safe manner, I think that's a great first step, at least for our conversation today. And with those distinctions and now learning how to interact and with what solutions we have available, I think it's safe to wrap up this first session. Thank you, Louis and Ruben, for joining us for our first guest on Binance Talks. It's been a pleasure having you guys on the show and learning how we can prioritize security and choosing what's really right for us. Yeah, I'll give you guys a chance to.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Good seeing you, Ruben.
Absolutely.
Likewise. Yeah, for me, I think the only thing I want to add is we really believe in the security education. And actually, right now, we are doing sort of
Ruben, please, go away. It's over. You lose. Good day, sir. Come on, man.
Security self-audit. So if you would go to our website, you can actually do a quick survey yourself to see how safe you really are and what you have to do in your specific case to be more safe.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ruben, and we appreciate the information. Alrighty, with our first discussion of the event done, we still have two more to look at. Let's briefly recap them again. Next, we'll take a look at security and reporting, followed by a session on seed phrases and a final quiz from Binance Academy. But before we move on, let's go back to one of our Twitter competitions. As mentioned earlier, our tweet is now live for our setup giveaway. We'd love to see how you're tuning in today. Superintendent, really the best regulators and law enforcement first regulators and to bolster security. Here to discuss the topic today are Nils Anderson Royd, Binance's Deputy Head of Financial Crime Compliance, Aruna Costa, VP of Government Solutions at Elliptic, and Zahra Jafar, Superintendent of the Crypto Assets Market at the Central Bank of Bahrain. Let me be the first to welcome them to Binance Talks and allow them to introduce themselves. Nils, do you want to kick us off with a short introduction?
Yeah, thanks very much. Nils Anderson Royd, you pronounced it pretty well. I'm the Deputy Head of Financial Crimes Compliance and former law enforcement as well. I used to work at Europol and Dutch National Police before I joined the company.
Great to have you here. Thank you. Aruna, would you like to go next with an introduction?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you very much for having me join the panel today. So my name is Aruna Costa and I'm from Elliptic, which is a provider of blockchain analytics solutions for both crypto compliance as also crypto intelligence for law enforcement and government. I lead Elliptic's government response. So I work very closely with government agencies to support investigation and enforcement and also the kind of collaboration between public and private sector. My background before joining Elliptic was over a decade in the world of traditional forensic investigations and financial crime prevention. And during my time at Elliptic, I've worked across different parts of the industry, so working very closely with both regulators, law enforcement, as well as crypto businesses and traditional financial institutions.
Great to have you on board and definitely looking forward to your insights. Thank you. Zahra, how about yourself?
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me. I work with the Central Bank of Bahrain in the crypto assets market department, and before that, I work in external auditing.
Wonderful. With your guys' resumes, I'm sure we're up for a really good discussion here. So why not kick it off, Zahra? This first question is actually for yourself. Regulation has been quite a hot topic lately, and I'm sure our viewers today are curious to hear your perspective on this. Could you explain how regulation, in your experience, has helped improve security for our crypto users?
Yes, I believe regulations play a major role in shaping the crypto assets market by setting the controls that are required to be adopted by the crypto assets provider. So if I talk about our experience and the Central Bank of Bahrain, we have adopted a risk-based approach in developing our framework by defining the potential risk and the controls that are required to mitigate such risk. And considering the nature of the crypto assets, we consider the cybersecurity risk as maybe the most important and critical risk that need to be addressed properly by the provider. That's why our framework has a comprehensive requirement in this regard. And just to give you examples about the type of requirements that we have, first, we have to ensure that the crypto assets providers have effective policies and controls. And also they are required to appoint a competent chief information security officer. And this appointment is subject to the CBP prior approval just to assess the applicant competency in terms of experience, qualification, and so on. And of course, there are some reporting requirements, and we conduct regular on-site inspection to assess the infrastructure and the system of the crypto assets providers. And another important aspect, as mentioned in the previous panel, is the security of the private keys, the wallet in terms of generation, storage, and the backup of the private keys, and the management of the wallet in general.
Wonderful. And I know you mentioned briefly on security events and task force or executive appointment in that regard. I think this brings me to my next point, maybe for Nils. Can you tell us a little bit about the state on the ground for law enforcement officials dealing with these security events? Are there new agencies or task force that the community should be aware of?
Yeah, I think over the past years, more and more agencies are looking into cybercrime and also cryptocurrency-related crimes as well. If you look at sort of like the whole landscape in the different countries, then some countries are doing better than others. Some countries are still in its infancy. They're still just trying to learn how to deal with crime, which also makes it difficult for users if you live in a country like that, of course. Mm-hmm. But overall, it's getting better and better. We've also seen task forces around certain types of crime, for example, around scams. There's a very active React task force in the US, which is looking a lot in scam cases. We have several kinds of projects related to ransomware and also even around child sexual abuse material. So there's basically task forces related to all kinds of different types of crime. Mm-hmm. What we do as a company, and what we're seeing as a company when we engage with law enforcement, it sort of tries to look into cryptocurrency crimes but doesn't really know how to investigate it, then we also try to help them out. We actually have a law enforcement training program where we actually try to teach law enforcement how we work, but also how they can better look into these types of crimes. And then we also engage with private sector parties to help them assist with tooling, provide them with tooling, give them demos and trial licenses so they can sort of build from there. So overall, it is improving, but there is definitely still room for improvement in many different countries.
That's great. And I think as users or to our users, our community, we often say education is one of the most important things as you interact with the space. But, oftentimes we miss the fact that, hey, our traditional law enforcement officials or other task force also need to be educated on the space. And I'm glad to hear that we're boots on the ground assisting with that. Speaking of development, how have you, Aruna, seen blockchain security develop over the past years? When it comes to your experience in compliance?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely been a lot of different areas of development, but I think one of the biggest and particularly topical areas is probably in relation to sanctions and what we've seen happening there. I think the volume of sanctions last year was pretty high. The US Department of Treasury's OFAC unit added, I think it was over 200 different crypto addresses to their sanctions list. And that was over, a range of different entities and individuals, but also slightly more arguably controversial designations as well. So there was Tornado Cash Mixer, where we had the first designation against a mixer last year. But I think what's interesting as well is that, this year is following a similar vein in terms of sanctions coming out, but also just leveraging different types of legislation, different mandates to make that happen. So I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, US legislation where they leveraged a slightly different to mandate in order to
Okay, sorry about that. We're gonna get reconnected. We're gonna get reconnected. Stream's a little spotty, but I'm still working on it.
Has had to respond to. And being able to make sure that we're able to look at that in a very holistic way, so very agnostic when it comes to what assets and what chains have been used by criminals.
Got it. And shifting from getting ahead of, reacting to maybe prevention. And, the three of you have all noted third-party clients or service providers so far, clearly indicating that it's not just one entity tackling and looking at these things. So Aruna, back to yourself again, as a bridge between third-party clients, service providers, and government or regulators, where have you seen the most effective cooperation in security issue prevention?
So I think cooperation is so critical to everything that we do. And I think, again, there's just a really recent example, even just from this week, right? So Elliptic, as a sort of blockchain analytics provider, we sit sort of at the center across the different parts of the crypto ecosystem. And as you said, working with a mixture of private sector, government regulators, and so on, and knowledge and the insight that we have across those different parts and bringing people together across the table. And so just this week, we actually worked with Binance and other exchanges to freeze accounts that contained, I think it was about $1.4 million of crypto that had been stolen by the North Korean Lazarus Group last June. And that's a situation where, Elliptic's intelligence from our investigations tools allowed us to, trace those funds through the Tornado Cash Mixer last year. But then after those stayed dormant for a period of time, we then saw them being funneled through various complex chains of transactions to exchanges, and we were able to notify, Binance and others. And it's that swift response in return from exchanges that allows us to then, as a community, essentially successfully suspend and free accounts and freeze funds as well. So I think working together to detect and freeze in real time, it's a great example of how we can work together across the industry.
That's wonderful. And I think you've mentioned quite a lot about reporting, but maybe from an institutional perspective and working together on the back end. How can I, as a user, or the viewers watching this, and this question is for the table, how can people work to report these possible security issues? I know something is up. What are my next steps? And anybody feel free to jump in on an answer.
If it stays quiet, I'll start. No, I mean, when it comes to users from Binance, and obviously they can reach out to our customer service. That's always the easiest. Also, if you're not a user, then of course you can also reach out to us. But that's more like alerting it, and then they will escalate it to the right department. When it's about serious issues, and personally, I think you can reach out to anyone in the space. And the good thing about the security network, when it comes to, for example, cryptocurrency exchanges and industry partners as well, that's a very close network. There's actually a lot of people that used to work in law enforcement, sort of on the other side as well. Mm-hmm. So we can also very quickly escalate these kind of things back and forth. We have quite a good security team. Of course, they can't do anything on their own, so we also rely on other commercial tools as well. But we do investigate it on our end. We take very quick action on our end as well. And if there's like a large hack which impacts multiple companies or institutions or whatever, I think in the past year we have shown that there's possibility to take very quick action with some large incidents as well. So I think in the end, just reach out to as soon as possible to industry, and of course, like I mentioned before, if you fell victim to some kind of hack, some kind of scam, then also reach out to your local law enforcement, because there's only so much you can do as an industry. We have a team of very experienced former law enforcement investigators that know how to look into blockchain and to trace transactions, sort of like what Aruna just described. We're doing it from our end as well. And take action where we can. But if we then, for example, with stolen funds need to return it to victims, then we definitely need to have law enforcement involved as well, because they have the ability to, for example, seize funds and return to the victims. So it's basically working together and alert the right, on one hand, the right companies, but also your local law enforcement.
All right. Thanks for the insights, Nils. Would anybody like to add on top of those comments?
Yeah, I want to shed light on the reporting requirement for the crypto assets provider. So as preventive measures, crypto assets provider are required to submit at least semi-annually a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, which is required to be conducted by an independent.
Sorry for everyone for this being a slideshow. Basically, right now, our LAN internet here just crapped out completely for no reason. And I'm still trying to figure out why it's crapped out. We're going to keep trying different things here. I'd really hate to call staff member over, because this should not be happening in the first place, to be honest. So I'm replugging in the LAN. We're going to see how this goes. We unfortunately might have to end this stream early, simply because for some reason the internet just does not want to work. There's only one other thing I can think of. Hang on a moment, guys. And see if it reaches over. I'll be right back. I want to shoot whoever crimped this system. I hope this works. See what happens here. Trying to identify, because I was watching it and I saw how much of a slideshow this was, and I have no idea. This is, to be honest, one of the reasons why I'm going to be speaking with staff on canceling my membership here, because, you know, for a facility that is built to be for live streaming, this is kind of ridiculous. Alright, I've given up here. I'm gonna go get staff, And if that does not work, then we're just going to have to attempt to end the stream early. So let me just plug everything back to where it was. This is ridiculous. Again, I apologize. Yeah. Plug the original cable in. Double check here, just to make sure I'm not going crazy. Alright, I'll be right back. Hopefully, we're going to go on AFK here, and I'll play some music, and hopefully we'll get the stream back running. If not, then we're just going to have to close early just because how much of a slideshow this is, and I apologize for that. I literally did not see this coming. Here we go, we're going to switch back to music here. see you, Luna, saying that you're about to head out shortly for a local event. I hope you have fun for that. So, yeah, I wanted to cover the rest of it. Maybe in the very near future, I might do like a part 2, and we'll like recap this and then finish the rest of it. But yeah, that was the Binance talk. You know, again, a lot of this type of stuff is sort of like, you know, we got to see some fun cringe and fluff speak. I'm pretty sure there's probably even more fun cringe going on. And it just really sucked that like we were getting right into like the meat of like the really good sort of security topics and stuff, and then this happens. We were like doing great for like 40 minutes, and then this happens. But yeah, guess that's going to be the end of our show today. Again, sorry, you know, never an episode of DCT 201 live stream without there being technical difficulties, except for once. This wasn't my fault, so what can you do? Thank you all for watching into today's show. Again, normally we have these every first and third Saturday, but my scheduling's been crazy. That's why I was trying to get one out today. Ideally, there should be a second episode on the 25th. And that one I've been saving up for a while. That one's going to be about cryptocurrency and how just basically digital currency is used in Africa. It's African American Heritage Month. I'm half black, so I thought that would be a cool topic to cover, because I think a lot of people, again, do a lot of fluff pieces around it, but they don't talk about like the actual use cases and technology and stuff that's there, because various African nations have like their own crazy uses of tech in general. So I can't wait to cover that episode. And that will hold body. I'm going to attempt to raid on Twitch. We'll see how that goes to end the stream. And on YouTube, it should be able to jump to another profile. Also, let everyone know that if everything goes right in the next 3 days, we should be announcing, I mean, I would love to tomorrow, but we should be announcing like when, where, and what is our next meeting. Because I've been doing this for a while, and I just really want to finally do one, not only because I'm excited for the topics that we're trying to cover on this meeting, but also because next month it will be our 6th year to CEO. It'll be interesting to see sort of the content ahead. And yeah, just thank everyone for watching. Thank you for watching Crypto Barons. I'm Sidepocket from DCT 201. Hack the Planet, Dirty Jersey represent, and remember that just because sometimes this place is advertised as like a perfect streaming place, that doesn't mean that it actually is. Yeah, we're gonna find a new solution very soon. Okay? Peace, everyone. Enjoy the music. Have a great time.